Hello, my name is Angelica Davy, and I will be reading 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. This audience is more aimed for middle school people and early high school people around the ages 13, 14, and 15, but anyone can really read this because this is a really good book. 99 Days. Day 1. Julia Donnelly eggs my house the first night I'm back in Star Lake, and that's how I know everyone still remembers everything. Quite the welcoming wagon, my mom says, coming outside to stand on the lawn beside me and survey the runny yellow damage to her lopsided lilac Victorian. There are yolks smeared down all the windows. There are eggshells in the shrubs. Just past 10 in the morning, it's already starting to smell rotten, sulfurous, and baking in the early summer sun. They must have gone to Costco to get all those eggs. Can you not? My heart is pounding. I forgot this, or tried to. What it was like before I ran from here a year ago. Julia's reign of terror, designed with ruthless precision to bring me to justice for all of my various capital crimes. The bottom of my feet are clammy. Inside my lace-up boots, I glance over my shoulder at the sleepy street beyond the long, windy driveway. Halfway expecting to see her cruising by in her family's ancient Bronco, admiring her art handiwork. Where's the hose? Oh, leave it. My mom, of course, is completely unbothered. The toss of her curly blonde head doesn't let me know I'm overreacting. Nothing is a big deal when it comes to my mother. The President of the United States could egg her house. Her house itself could burn down, and it would turn into not a big deal. It's a good story, she used to say, whenever I come to her with some little kid unfairness to report. No recess or getting picked last for basketball. Remember this for later, Molly. It will make a good story someday. It never occurred to me to ask which one of us would be doing the telling. I'll call Alex to clean up this in the afternoon. Are you kidding? I said surely. My face feels red and blotchy. All I want to do is make myself as small as humanly possible, the size of a dust mite, the size of a speck. But there's no way I'm letting my mom's handyman spray a half-cooked omelet off the front of my house just because everyone in this town thinks I'm a slut and wants to remind me. I said, where's the hose, Mom? Watch the tone, Molly. My mom shakes her head resolutely. Somewhere under the egg in the garden, I can smell her, the lavender sandalwood perfume she's worn since I was a baby. She hasn't changed at all since I left. The silver rings on every one of her fingers, her tissue-thin black cardigan, and her ripped jeans. When I was little, I thought my mom was the most beautiful woman in the world. Whenever she'd go on tour reading from her fat novels in the bookstores in New York and Chicago and LA, I used to lie on my stomach in the Donnelly's living room and look at the author's photos on the backs of all her books. Don't you blame me. I'm not the one who did this to you. I turn on her then, standing on the grass in this place I never wanted to come back to. Not in 100 million years. Who would you like me to blame then? I demand. For a second I let myself remember the cold sick feeling of seeing the article in People for the first time in April of junior year, along with the grossest, juiciest scenes from the novel in a glossy picture of my mom leaning against her desk. Diana Barlow's latest novel, Driftwood, was based on her daughter's complicated relationship with two local boys. The knowing in my ribs and the stomach and spine that now everyone else would know. Who? For a second, my mom looks completely exhausted, older than I ever think of her as being. Glamorous or not, she was almost 40 when she adopted me. Is close to 60 now. Then she blinks and it's gone. Molly. Look, don't. I hold up my hand to stop her, wanting so badly not to talk about it. To be anywhere other than here, 99 days between now and the first day of freshman orientation in Boston. I remind myself trying to take a deep breath and not give in to the overwhelming urge to bolt for the nearest bus station as fast as my two legs could carry me. Not as fast, admittedly, as they might have a year ago. 99 days, and I can leave for college and be done. My mom stands in the yard and looks at me. She barefoot, like always. Dark nails and a tattoo of her rose on her ankle like a cross between Carole King and the first lady of a motorcycle gang. It will make a great story someday, she said. That she told me what was going to happen. So really, there's no earthly reason to still be so baffled after all this time that I told her the worst, most secret, most important thing in my life, and she wrote a best-selling book about it. The hose is in the shed, she finally says. Thank you. I swallow my phlegmy thickness in my throat and head for the backyard, squirming against the sour, panicky sweat I can feel gathered at the base of my backbone. I wait until I'm hidden in the blue-gray shade of the house before I let myself cry. Day 2. I spend the next day holed up in my bedroom with the blinds closed, eating red vines and watching weird Netflix documentaries on my laptop, hiding out like a wounded fugitive in the last third of a Clint Eastwood movie. Vida, my mom's honorary old tabby, wanders in and out as she likes. Everything up here is the same as I left. Blue and white striped wallpapers and cheerful yellow rugs. The fluffy gray duvet on my bed. The golly molly artwork a designer friend of my mom's did when I was a baby, hanging above the desk, right next to a bulletin board, holding my track meet schedule for my junior year, and a photo of me at Donnelly's farmhouse with Julia and Patrick and Gabe, my mouth wide open, mid-laugh. Even my hairbrush is still sitting on the dresser, the one I forgot to take with me in the mad dash out of Star Lake after the People article, like it was just waiting for me to come crawling all the way back here with a head full of knots. It's the photo I keep catching myself looking at, though, like there's some kind of karmic magnet attached to the back of it, drawing my attention from clear across the room. Finally, I'll haul myself out of bed, pull it down to examine it more closely. It's from their family party this summer after freshman year, back when Patrick and I were dating. The four of us are sitting sprawled out on the ratty old couch in the barn behind the farmhouse. Me and all three Donnellys, Julia in the middle of saying something snarky, and Patrick with his arms hooked around my waist. Gabe's looking right at me, although I never actually noticed that until after everything happened. Just holding this stupid picture feels like pressing on a bruise. Patrick's not even home this summer. I know for him creeping on his Facebook. He's doing some volunteer program in Colorado, clearing brush and learning to fight forest fires, just like he always dreamed of doing when we were little and running around in the woods behind his parents' house. There's no chance of even bumping into him around town. Probably there's no good reason to feel disappointed about that. I slapped the photo down, face down on the desktop, and climbed back under the covers, pushing Vida onto the carpet. This room has been hers, and the dogs in my absence. The sticky layer of pet hair has made that much abundantly clear. When I was a kid, living up here made me feel like a princess, tucked in the third floor turret of my mom's old haunted house. Now, barely a week after high school graduation, it makes me feel like one again, trapped in a magical tower with no place in the whole world to go. I dig the last red vine out of my cellophane package just as Vida hops right back onto the pillow beside me. Get out, Vida, I order her, pushing her gently off again and rolling my eyes at the haughty flick of her feline tail as she stalks out the door, fully expecting her to turn up again, almost immediately. Day 3. Vida doesn't. Day 4. Imogen doesn't either. When I was staring down my summer-long sentence in Star Lake, the idea of seeing her again was the only thing that made it feel at all bearable. But so far, my "hey, I'm back and let's hang out" texts have gone resolutely unanswered. Could be she hates me too. Imogen and I have been friends since first grade, and she stuck by me pretty hard at the end of junior year, sitting beside me in the cafeteria at school, even as everyone else at our lunch table mysteriously disappeared and the whispers turned into something way, way worse. Still, the truth is, I didn't exactly give her a heads up before I left Star Lake to do my senior year at Bristol, an all-girls boarding school, plunked like a mission silo in the middle of the desert outside Tempe, Arizona, accustomed under the covers of darkness, more like. By the next day, it's a full 96 hours of minimal human contact, though. So when my mom knocks hard on the bedroom door to let me know her cleaning lady is coming, I pull some clean shorts out of the pile of Duristis already accumulated on my floor. My t-shirts and underwear are still in my giant duffel bag. I'll have to unpack it at some point, probably, although the truth is I'd almost rather live out of my suitcase for 3 months. My old sneakers are tucked underneath the desk chair. I notice while I'm crouched down there, the laces still tied from the last time I wore them. The day the article came out, I remember suddenly, like I thought I could somehow outrun a national publication. I had sprinted as hard and as fast as I could manage. I'd thrown up on the dusty side of the road. Wolf. I do my best to shake off the memory, grabbing the photo of me and the Donnelly still face down on the desk where I left it in the other night, and shoving it into the back of the drawer in my nightstand. Then I lace my boots up and take my neglected old Passat into Star Lake proper. It's cool enough to open the windows, and even though the pine trees lining the sides of Route 4, I can smell the slightly dewy scent of the lake as I head for the short stretch of civilization that makes up downtown. Main Street is small and rumpled, all diners and dingy grocery stores, a roller rink that hasn't been open since roughly 1982. That's about the last time this place was a destination as far as I've ever been able to tell. The lakefront plus the endless green stretch from of the Catskill Mountains was a big vacation spot in the 60s and 70s, but ever since I can remember, Star Lake has had the air of something that used to be but isn't anymore, like you fell into the grandparents' honeymoon by mistake. I sped up as I bypassed the Donnelly's Pizza Shop, slouching down in my seat like a gangbanger until I pull up in front of French Roast, the coffee shop where Imogen worked since we were freshmen. I open the door and smell freshly ground beans and the sound of some moody girl singing on the radio. The shop was mostly empty, a late morning haul. Imogen standing behind the counter, mid dark hair hanging in her eyes, and when she looks up at the jangle of the bells, guilty, awkward panic flashes across her pretty face in the moment before she can quill it. "Oh my God," she says once she recovered, coming around the corner and hugging me fast and antiseptic, then holding me back at arm's length like a great aunt having a look at how much I've grown. Literally, in my case, I've put on 15 pounds easily since I left Arizona. And even though she'd never say anything about it, I can feel her taking it in. "You're here." "I am," I agree, my voice sounding weird in fall. She's wearing a gauzy sundress under her French roast apron, a splotch of deep blue on the side of her hand, like she was up late sketching one of the pen and ink portraits she's been doing since we were little kids. Even on her birthday, I buy her a fresh set of markers, the fancy kind from the art supply store. When I was in Tempe, I went online and had them shipped. Did you get my text? Imogen does something between a nod and a headshake, non-committable. "Yeah, my phone's been really weird lately," she says, voice coming up at the end like she's unsure. She shrugs then, although oddly graceful, even though she's 5'11" since we were in middle school. Somehow she never got teased. It eats things. I need a new one. Come on, let me get you a coffee. She heads back around the counter, past the racks of mugs they give people who plan to hang out on one of the sagging couches, and hands me a paper to go cup. I'm not sure if it's a message or not. She waves me off when I try to pay. "Thanks," I tell her, smiling a little bit helplessly. I'm not used to making small talk with her. So, "Hey, RISD, huh?" I try, and I saw it's on Instagram that that's where she's headed in the fall. A selfie of her smiling hugely in a Rhode Island School of Design sweatshirt. As the words come out of my mouth, I realize how totally bizarre it is. That's how I know. We told each other everything, well, almost everything. Once upon a time we did. Well, be neighbors in the fall. Providence and Boston? "Oh yeah," Imogen says, sounding distracted. "I think it's like an hour, right?" "Yeah, but an hour is not that long," I reply uncertainly. It feels like there's a river between us, and I don't know how to build a bridge. Look, Imogen, I start then break off awkwardly. I want to apologize for falling off the face of the earth the way I did. I want to tell her about my mom and about Julia, that I'm here for 95 more days and I'm terrified. And I need all the allies I can get. I want to tell Imogen everything, but before I can get another word out, I'm interrupted by the telltale chime of a text message dinging out of the inside of her pocket of her apron. So much for the phone eats things up. Imogen blushes a deep sunburnt red. I take a deep breath. Okay, I say, pushing my wild, wavy brown hair behind my ears just as the front door opens and a whole gaggle of women in yoga gear come crowding into the shop, jabbering eagerly for their half-calf, non-fat whatevers. I'll see you around, okay? I ask, shrugging a little. Imogen nods and waves goodbye. I head back out to where my car is parked at the curb, pointedly ignoring the huge local art there displayed in the window of Star Lake's one tiny bookstore across the street. A million paperback copies of Driftwood available for the low, low price of $6.99 plus my dignity. I'm devoting so much attention to ignoring it, in fact, that I don't notice the note tucked under my wipers until the very last second. Julia's pink marker scrawled across the back of a Chinese takeout menu. Dirty slut. The panic is cold and wet, skittering in the second before it's replaced by the hot rush of shame. My stomach lurches. I reach out and snatch the menu off the windshield, the paper going limp and clamming inside my damp, embarrassed fist. Sure enough, there it is, idling at the spotlight at the end of the block. The Donnelly's late 90s Bronco, big and olive, dented where Patrick backed into a mailbox in the fall of our sophomore year. It's the same one all three of them learned to drive on. The one we all used to pile into so Gabe could ferry us to school when we were freshmen. Julia's raven hair glints in the sun as the light turns green and she speeds away. I force myself to take a deep breath before I ball up the menu, toss it onto the passenger seat of my car. Then two more before I pull out into traffic. I grip the wheel tightly so my hands will stop shaking. Julia was my friend first, before I ever met either one of her brothers. Maybe it makes sense that she's the one who hates me the most. I remember running into her here not long after the article came out, how she turned and saw me standing there with my latte, the unaltered, adulterated loathing painted all over her face. Why the F do I see you everywhere, Molly? She demanded, and she sounded so incredibly frustrated, like she really wanted to know so we could solve this so it wouldn't keep happening over and over again. For the love of God, why won't you just go away? I went home and called Bristol the same afternoon. There's nowhere for me to go now, though not really. All I want is to floor it home and bury myself under the covers with a documentary about deep ocean or something. But I make myself stop at the gas station to fill my empty tank and pick up more red vines, just like I planned to. I can't spend the whole summer like this, can I? I'm just fitting my credit card into the pump when a big hand lands square on my shoulder. Get the F out of here, a deep voice says. I whirl around, hear thumbering and ready for a fight before I realize that's an exclamation and not an order. Before I realize it's coming from Gabe. You're home? He asks incredulously, his tan face breaking into a wide grin. He's wearing frayed khaki shorts and aviators and a t-shirt from Notre Dame, and he looks happier to see me than anyone has since I got here. I can't help it. I burst into tears. Gabe doesn't blink. Hey, he says easily, getting his arm around me and squeezing. He smells like farmer's market bar soap and clothes dried on the line. Marley Barlow, why are you crying? I'm not. I protest even as I blatantly get snot all over his front of his t-shirt. I pull back and wipe my eyes, shaking my head. Oh my gosh, I'm not sorry. That I am sorry. That's embarrassing. Hi. Gabe keeps smiling, even if he does look a little surprised. Hey, he says, reaching out and swiping at my cheek with the heel of his hand. So welcome back. How have you been? I see you're enjoying your return to the warm of bosom of Star Lake. Uh huh. I sniffled once and pulled it together mostly. God, I didn't realize I was so hard up for my friendly face. It's ridiculous. Or okay, I did, but I didn't think I lose it so quite so hard at the sight of one. It's been awesome. I reach up into the open window of the passette and hand him the crumpled up takeout menu. For example, here's my homecoming card from your sister. Gabe smooths it and looks at it, then nods. Weird, he says, calm as the surface of the lake in the middle of the night. She put the same one on my card this morning. My eyes widen. Really? No, Gabe says, grinning when I make a face. Then his eyes go dark. Seriously though, are you okay? That's like pretty effed up and horrifying of her, actually. I sigh and roll my eyes at myself or at the situation, at the gut wrenching absurdity of the mess I made. It's whatever, I tell him, trying to sound cool or above it or something. I'm fine. It is what it is. It feels unfair though, right? Gabe says, I mean, if you're a dirty slut, then I'm a dirty slut. I laugh. I can't help it, even though it feels colossally weird to hear him say it out loud. We never talked about it once after it happened, not even when the book and the article came out, and the world came crashing down around my ears. Could be enough time has passed that it doesn't feel like a big deal to him anymore. Although apparently he's the only one, God knows it still feels like a big deal to me. You definitely are. I agree. Then watch as he balls up the menu and tosses it over his shoulder, missing the trash can next to the pump by a distance of roughly 7 feet. That's littering, I tell him, smirking a little. Add it to the list. Gabe says, apparently unconcerned about this or any other lapses in good citizenship. He was student council president when he was a senior. Patrick and Julia and I hung all his campaign posters at school. Look, people are assholes. My sister is an asshole, and my brother, he breaks off, shrugging. His saggy brown hair curls down over his ears, a lighter honey molasses color than his brothers and sisters. Patrick's hair is almost black. Well, my brother is my brother. But anyway, he's not here. What are you doing? Are you working? What? I... Nothing yet. I confess, feeling suddenly embarrassed at how reclusive I've been, humiliated that there's virtually nobody here who wants to see me. Gabe had a million friends as long as I've known him, hiding mostly. Gabe nods at that, but then think you'll be hiding tomorrow. Think you'll be hiding tomorrow too? I remember once when I was 10 or 11 that I stepped on a piece of glass down by the lake and Gabe carried me all the way home, piggyback. I remember that we lied to Patrick for an entire year. My whole face has a clogged, bloated post-cry feeling like there's something made of cotton shoved into my brain. I don't know, I say eventually, cautious, intriguing the spite of myself. Maybe it's just the constant ache of loneliness, but running into Gabe makes me feel like something's about to happen. A bend in dusty road, probably. Why? Gabe grins down at me like a master of ceremonies, like someone who suspects I need a little anticipation in my life and wants to deliver. Pick you up at 8 is all he says. Day 5. Gabe's right on time. 2 quick taps on the horn of his station wagon to let me know he's outside. I hurried down the stairs faster than I've done much of anything since I've been here. The nosy clunk of my boots on the hardwood. My hair's long and loose down my back. You going out? My mom called out from her office. She sounds surprised. Fair enough, I guess, since my social circle up until now has pretty much been consisted of Vita, Oscar, and a little Netflix robot that recommends stuff based on what you've already watched. Who with? I almost don't even tell her, the urge to lie like a reflex to keep myself from winding up fodder for Oprah's book club one more time. Then I decided I don't care. With Gabe, I announce my voice like a challenge. I don't wait for a response before I walk out the door. He's idling in the driveway with Bob Dylan in the CD player, low and clanging and familiar. His parents were both giant hippies. Chuck wore his hair to his shoulder until Patrick and Julia were 5, and we both grew up listening to the kind of stuff on the stereo in his house. Hey, stranger, he says as I climb into the passenger seat in a voice like I'm not one at all. Reckon he homes today? I snort. Not yet, I assure him, rolling my eyes as I buckle my seatbelt. It's not until I let out a breath I hadn't quite known I was holding that I realized I've been nervous about this moment all day. I didn't even need to be, though. Of course, I didn't need to be. It's Gabe, who I've known since I was in preschool. Gabe, my literal partner of crime. But you know it's early. We drive 15 minutes outside of town in Frank's Frank. A hot dog truck in a parking lot off the side of the road where his mom and dad used to take us all when we were really little. The perimeter is strung up with Christmas light, picnic tables gone tacky with the humidity and too many layers of glossy paint. Families eat ice cream in noisy clusters. A baby fusses in a stroller. A boy and a girl play on a jungle gym in the last of the deep blue twilight. Gabe's arm brushes mine as we wait in the line to pay. He's gotten handsomer, I think, broader in the back since the last time I saw him 2 full years ago, before he left for Notre Dame. He almost startlingly tall now. We sit on top of the free table instead of at one. My boots and Gabe's preppy leather flip-flops lined up side by side on the bench. He gets a giant paper boat full of onion rings, the smell of fried batter, grilled smoke hanging in the air. His body's warm next to me, the closest I've been to a boy since Patrick told me he's never wanted to see me again. In Tempe, I didn't exactly date. So what are you doing back here anyway, huh? Gabe asks. I take a sip of my soda, swat idly at the mosquito hovering near my bare knee. School's out, I tell him, shrugging a bit. Nowhere to go after graduation. Could run, I guess, but can't hide. Gabe finishes, an echo of our conversation at the gas station yesterday. I smile. We sit in a comfortable silence for a minute. It's strange to be with him like this. I was least close to Gabe out of all the Donnellys before everything happened. He wasn't the person I told my secrets to, at least not until things fell apart so hard with Patrick. He was never the one who knew my every tell and shudder. Maybe it's fitting he's the only one who'll have anything to do with me now. We eat our hot dogs and Gabe tells me about school in Indiana, where he's a bio major. Now he's hanging out this summer and working at their pizza shop to tell his mom how she's doing. I ask, thinking of Connie's thick gray ponytail and easy smile, how instead of folding in on herself like an origami swan after Chuck died, her spine only got straighter. Chuck had a heart attack at their kitchen table one night when I was 14 over 4 dinners, right in the middle of an argument between Gabe and Patrick over whose turn it was to hose down their motorboat, the Sally Forth. Connie sold the boat the following summer. She manages the shop by herself. She's good, Gabe tells me now. I smile. We talk about dumb stuff, a costume party he went to a couple of weeks ago where all the dudes dressed up as their mothers and what we've been watching on TV. Wow, Gabe laughs when I let loose with some truly scatillion facts I've gleaned about Prohibition and the Transcontinental Railroad from all the documentaries I've been mainlining. You really are starved for human contact, huh? Shut up, I tell him, and he offers me the last of his onion rings with a guilty grin. I make a face, but take them anyway. After all, it's not like he's wrong. Well, Gabe says, still smiling, and his eyes are deep lake water blue. Across the lot, a car hums to life, pulls out into the parking way, headlights cutting a bright swath through the dark summer. For what it's worth, Molly Barlow, I'm really glad you're back. Day 6. I'm sorry, are you smiling? My mom asked the following morning, looking at me and incredulously across the kitchen island. I grin into my coffee and don't reply. That is the end of my reading. I will pick up where I left off in the next segment with day 7. Thank you.